Disney buried a Pirates of the Caribbean sequel that would have changed everything, and the reason they killed it is something they have spent 4 decades making sure you never understood. The script was finished. The budget was confirmed. Johnny Depp was under contract. Then a single clause buried in the fine print made all of it disappear overnight, and they never had to explain why. It's called a morality clause. That sounds simple. It isn't. It is deliberately, strategically vague. A legal instrument so elastic that a studio can stretch it over anything they decide is inconvenient, and you will never know which version of the reason is the real one. And the real reason Pirates of the Caribbean 6 died is worse than anything they put in the press release, because there was no press release. The morality clause is older than talking pictures. MGM wrote the first version into actor contracts in 1921 after the Fatty Arbuckle scandal destroyed ticket sales overnight and cost the studio millions in a single week. The clause was born as an insurance instrument, a way to cut losses when a talent became a liability. For 50 years it sat mostly dormant, applied only to genuine criminal convictions. The language was tight. The trigger was specific. That was then. Starting in the 1990s, the major studios began quietly rewriting that language in every new contract they issued. Not just criminal conviction anymore, not just arrest. Now the trigger read, conduct that brings the studio into public disrepute, or behavior the studio determines at its sole discretion, has become harmful to its reputation or goodwill. Sole discretion. No independent arbiter, no defined threshold. The studio decides when the clause fires, and the studio decides what the clause means. In 2016, Disney and Jerry Bruckheimer confirmed that Pirates of the Caribbean 6 was in active development. A script was commissioned from Craig Mazin and Terry Rossio, 2 of the most commercially proven writers in the business. Mazin later wrote Chernobyl. Rossio co-wrote all 4 original Pirates films, which generated $4.5 billion worldwide combined. Disney's internal projections had the 6th installment tracking to open north of $200 million in its first global weekend. The production budget was in the range of $200 million. Depp was confirmed. The deal was signed. The shoot was scheduled. Then in April 2016, Amber Heard filed for divorce and the allegations went public. Disney did not wait for a verdict. They did not wait for a civil judgment. They invoked the morality clause, quietly in writing without a single public statement, and Depp was gone from the franchise by June 2018. Legally, the invocation was airtight. The clause language in Depp's contract gave Disney exactly the discretion they had spent decades writing for themselves. No criminal charge was required. A reputational determination made internally was sufficient. But Depp was the franchise, not the ship, not the mythology. Him, Captain Jack Sparrow, had generated an estimated $200 million per year in licensed merchandise at peak. Disney knew the character and the actor were inseparable. They invoked the clause anyway, and then they said nothing. The official position was that the franchise was being reimagined with new characters, Margot Robbie attached to a fresh story. Pirates 6 was never officially canceled, never officially shelved. It just stopped existing. Remember that signed deal? The finished script? Gone. Here is the part they really buried. The Amber Heard civil trial in 2022 produced a verdict that found Heard liable for defamation on the central claims. The jury sided with Depp. The reputational calculus Disney used to invoke the morality clause was, in the public's judgment, wrong. Disney said nothing, no statement, no reconsideration. Because here is what the morality clause actually protects. It protects the studio from ever having to explain itself. The trigger language is deliberately unmeasurable. There is no appeals process built into it. No reinstatement clause. Once it fires, the conversation is over by design. In the years since 2018, studios have used identical clause frameworks to quietly remove talent from other projects, and in each case the public explanation described it as a creative decision, a scheduling conflict, a budget concern. This is the mechanism that converts a business calculation into a narrative of values. The real reason Pirates 6 died was not morality. It was risk management dressed in the language of decency. Studios have built an entire legal infrastructure around making sure you never notice that difference. What we lost is harder to calculate than a box office projection. The Pirates franchise was one of the last original IP blockbusters, not a comic book adaptation, not a sequel to something pre-proven. A theme park ride that became a mythology, with commercial runway for years ahead of it. The Robbie reimagining went into development and then quietly stalled. As of today, no Pirates film in any form has a confirmed release date. The last entry came out in 2017. 9 years of silence on one of Disney's highest-grossing properties, And a morality clause invoked without a press release is exactly where that silence started. Every contract signed in Hollywood carries a version of this clause right now. The question nobody is asking is which studio's language is the broadest, and which beloved project they have already quietly erased with it. That studio might not be the one you think.